Well, this lesson today is really about posture, why it's important, and the starting step for everyone that's safe. And I've got a spine here that shows mathematically we know, and I can give you information on that, that'll be in the certification, that really in gravity, the most efficient posture is the S-shaped spine. Now with dancers, we know they've got more of a flat low back and a flat neck. And the reason why that's bad is because there's more compression, weight going down through the spine, and it puts so much pressure on the spinal discs that they don't get this pumping action to hydrate them, and the nerve canals are smaller, so you have pinched nerves. That's, all these tight muscles are trying to hold you in gravity, and those tight muscles won't let you move because those are used for movement. So it reduces your flexibility and mobility. So one of the easiest things we can do, since most everyone's discs are like a dried out kitchen sponge, is to do a rotation. So we ask people to kind of sit with a little bit of curve on their low back and plant their feet flat, and you keep your hips. You're not going to try to turn your whole body. You're going to kind of keep your hips anchored, chin up, arms up. And the whole difference in this movement is looking with your eyes. Because if I just hold my head straight and turn, see the difference in that? But if I look to rotate, the person will be able to turn more. And we're pretending like there's a rod through our spine. So we're not like leaning. We're kind of like sitting stacked, bone on top of bone. And we're looking and we're rotating. And we try to do that, 25 to 30 times. And when you're doing that, a lot of times people will hear, excuse me, their low back bones crack. But we do that, and then we lay over rolls that fill up our low back curve. So like we put a grooved cushion underneath the low back, just above your hip bones. And it's kind of like the small of your back. You'll be able to feel that. And then underneath the head. Now we always want the skull resting on the back of the laying surface, whether that be a bed, a floor. And then we want you to be able to lay your legs flat. And I'm going to demonstrate this on myself. So that after laying in a position, technically 18 minutes, your muscle spindles loosen and your ganglioid tendon, the items in your body that are sensitive to tension on muscles and the length of stretching on muscles will actually just let go because gravity's not in the picture anymore. So what we want to do is we want to lay down for 20 minutes. Now, there's some people that cannot do this even with the softest, smallest roller. So what we're going to teach today is even if you don't have the rollers, we recommend everybody buy the complete blue set. Because even in one laying session, you might go through 3 different diameters, because initially you'll be able to lay there with a little bit of tension, but the idea is to not be uncomfortable. So the moment you become uncomfortable, you change the diameter of the cushion, of the roll. so that you can relax, because we got to have the muscles relax, because when the muscles relax, then segmentally, if there's a shift in a vertebrae, one to the side, where it goes like this, where some people call scoliosis, that's segmental posture. So when we're laying down and we have tight muscles maybe on one side versus the other, and those muscle spindles and the ganglioid tendon release, then these bones go back into shape because it's using your body weight over rolls or towels. So it's like a segmental traction. So now I'm going to show you how to roll towels, because if you haven't bought your rolls yet, or if you're one of the individuals where the smallest diameter, softest cushion is painful for you, of course, that's not where we start. We start, there's a hand towel, and every hand towel is different thickness, a little bit different size. So we just use hair ties, but the idea is you fold either the hand towel, like here's two towels, and they're each different thickness. But there's a bath towel that you fold each one in half. Then you fold it in, and you're going to simulate the groove in the middle. I don't know if you can see that all right. But basically you get this towel folded. I'm just going to, so there's a groove in there. Doesn't have to be exact, but then you roll it up. But if I rolled this towel all the way up, it's too big for me. So what you do is you just put a hair tie over the edge. You don't roll the towel all the way up. And you create the diameter that fits good for you. So a lot of times a full bath towel works good for the low back, and a hand towel, or maybe even depending on your neck curve, if you're really tall and you have a long neck, even though it's very flat, you're going to need a larger diameter roll. So again, you just kind of fold it in there and you can roll it up. So that would be like a double hand towel, or like when we were using it, we had a single hand towel. And you just, use these hair ties. So we have a makeshift starting point, the hand towel and a bath towel. And what you would do is you're just going to put that, my hip bone's right here. That's going to be in my low back. And then I'm putting this underneath here, to lay down. So you want a little tiny bit of a stretch right here, but you want to be totally comfortable when you're laying down. So for me, I need to roll this up a little bit more. There we go. And then this is too small for me, but you feel it, you pull it down to your shoulders, and you feel that up. And that way, and if you lay with your shoulders out like this, with your shoulder blades flat versus like this, you're going to get more relaxation and relief. But that is the purpose of the rolls, is so first off, we're mechanically manipulating the tissues to hydrate the disc. Because after you're 18 years old, see, from birth to 18 years old, it takes that long to develop the shape. When a baby's born, they can't sit up, they can't crawl, they're a C shape. It's the actual shape of the spine that allows movement. And their body actually directly supplies nutrients to the discs because just like all the other cells in the baby's body, it has to grow in size. Like the bones as well, the density of the bones, the ossification, the size of the vertebrae, all up until they're 18 years old, has different mechanisms that supply nutrients and hydration to grow those to the right shape. Then the way we're created is after we're 18, those supplies get completely cut off. And when you have this S-shaped spine, my guy's hip came off here. I got to get a nut for that. But this hip back on there. So when you have this S-shaped spine, think of a shock absorber on an automobile. How when you go over bumps, you know, it's able to have this fluid motion. And when you have the S-shaped spine, this is kind of like a Roman arch, where every joint has 30, 60, 90-degree curves in it. So when you're walking, it's flexing and it's pumping in hydration and nutrients. And at that 30, 60, 90-degree curvature with that S-shaped spine, there's less compression directly on the disc. Because after 18 years old, if you don't have this posture, you're in degeneration. Because there's too much pressure on the disc, they're not getting hydrated, they're not getting the nutrients. And keep in mind that every organ in your body receives its nerve impulses. These are called meninges. It's a sheath that the nerves come out to supply every organ, every muscle for the control. And when you don't have the right shape, the nerve canal is too small. So you have impingement on your nervous system for all the peripheral functions of your body. And that's why some days when you're practicing dancing, your brain knows a movement. Some days you're just on and you're wanting to do something and your body responds. And then other times it doesn't respond. That could be because of a nerve impingement because of your posture. So we can actually improve the response time by allowing your nervous system to free flow when you have this posture. So does anyone have any questions about the starting point that everyone, I mean, even if someone has fusions where they've had terrible pain or they've had ablations where their nerves have been deadened, where they have terrible mobility issues, I mean, they're in pain constantly, everyone can lay down with custom rolled towels. And even if to begin with they can't lay their legs straight, they can bend their knees. It's always adjusted to the point of no pain. Everyone can benefit from that. I've worked with people that can barely walk into my office to lay down, to get them on the towels for 20 minutes. Now, one thing I must comment on is after you've been laying down, either on the towels or the rolls, it might be, you almost feel like you're stuck. Like you almost can't get up, and it might be painful. So what I tell people to do is before you get up, you know, maybe put your legs there and kind of sneak the low back roll out. Maybe go like this just a little bit. You know, let it kind of settle in. Roll out the towels, and then never do the sit up to get up. No, 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 no. So, you know, take your time in getting up. If you feel stuck, it's not time to get up, but then kind of roll over on your side. You can either push up there or even get on all fours and get up. And if you have a low back problem, you know, actually laying on a soft bed, you're going to be able to tolerate larger diameter rolls and not have so much movement. And so this is if somebody's injured, in dramatic pain, having huge mobility problems, you would always have them start on a softer laying surface. Then as we progress with them, we can go to a harder laying surface, like maybe a massage table, and then eventually just on the floor, because then it's harder to get up off of the floor. So we really have to be conscientious of where is the person at in their existing flexibility, in their existing mobility, what's their pain level, where's their tightness, because doing this, you know, protocol can actually, if someone is prone to sciatica or you know, a short leg because their anterior hip is tilted or things like that, we could make them worse if we made them lay there too long. That's the other thing. The ideal time is 18 to 20 minutes. But like my sister, for instance, I mean, she was in a terrible motorcycle wreck. She's overweight. She's really stiff. She couldn't even lay down 5 minutes to begin with on a soft laying surface. So we have to take people where they're at, but it's consistency of repeating this. And, you know, some people, like my sister, you know, icing afterwards even, you know, and then alternating ice and heat. So we really have to ask somebody what their injuries were, what, you know, what they're prone to and those kinds of things, and to be able to be conscientious of that. Now, you guys are working more with athletic people, so you're not going to have to get to that point, but I also want everybody to be aware of that, you know. So yeah, any questions?
So, Eileen, I already, you know, it's like miss you so much. It's like since our conversation, it's great meeting. You know, it's like so, and I also getting so many feedback. You know, it's like from people, and everybody was so, you know, it's like exciting, and it was very helpful sessions. You know, it's like, and of course, you know, it's like my point is just I would like to do this kind of promotions, you know, it's like a little bit more often. You know, it's like, and just because you're doing such a beautiful thing, you know, it's like you help people. And I'm just so proud of, you know, it's like part of our connection. And of course, you know, it's like, so what I'm doing right now, I try to set up some spot in our studio, and I will be start to promote, let's say, you know, it's like weekly, you know, it's like maybe we can to create some kind of classes and just explain about how important to have a straight back, how important to just, you know, it's like, fix some kind of pain what people have through the backs, because 90% of the people have this kind of issue.
Right.
And you know, it's like very important to just, you know, give them some key how they can to be healthy, happy, and you know, it's like more flexible.
Right.
So Roman, what about you? How's your experience? You know, it's like, do you feel any differences between, you know, it's like after Las Vegas?
Wonderful experience. No, I don't feel much difference yet. I think I have to try a couple more times, you know, before I feel a difference. But yeah, no, it's a good idea. A couple of students already were asking about this system. They're very interested. The lady who couldn't join today, she is a fitness instructor, but she has a class right now. She asked if we can give her a recording of today's meeting.
Yeah.
And she's downstairs right underneath our studio, and she would be a really great fit to do that, because honestly, I have no time to do it, and I'm afraid, because I'm not in, I'm not in this field. That's why I'm a little bit afraid of doing this kind of stretches to people. But I think if that business is right underneath us, I think we can put the equipment in our studio and her studio, because her studio is even more with soft mats, and it's specialized in, it looks more like the environment where you are right now. And I think they can work very well together. And, but yeah, I think it's a good idea to try it.
So, and Roman, do you think it's a good time, let's say, if you can to do this kind of meetings maybe once in a week, it's like where you can to bringing your clients, they can bringing our clients, it's like, and just, do you think it's a good time? It's like, it needs to be later, earlier, or what do you think about that?
Well, definitely. No, it's about good time.
I also like, it's like Friday, 11 o'clock. I think it's one of the best time, because it's almost like in the end of the week, and people really looking for some new opportunity for next week. So it's good spot, I think. Eileen, do you have any, it's like suggestions? So how we can to really talk to people, how we can to just, approach these kind of classes, and how we can to really creating community for healthy backend.
The other thing that I can do, the reason why I set up 2 of my computers for this is so I can go into the other one and I can do a screen share. Like I'd like to do a screen share right now to show you exactly the differences between the typical posture that people are living with and this ideal posture. So, I mean, and we can talk, and I can give examples, and I have download documents, so that I could share to the attendees so they could print out and read later. So let me switch over to my other computer and do a screen share.
Okay.
So sounds much better.
This in your studio. Are you gonna have somebody special hold you it?
This is my house where we've moved everything out. We crack filled our floors, and we're getting ready to epoxy it. And then once I get all my equipment put back in, I'll be doing these from the office. But this is just my home setup here. So I want to share screen. So I'm going to log on to where I want to be here. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is Creatrix Solutions, and I am always adding new information. And when you go under exercise, in particular, athletic performance, we have avoiding injuries, which is a pretty informational page. It talks about, why posture is critical. And there's a page that they can read on the history of the New England Patriots and how spinal fitness started. But this is the part that I wanted to show, is why the S-shaped spine is best, because people don't realize this. So what this represents is low back, lumbar 2 and 3 discs. This is good posture. This is ideal. And think of every joint as a teeter-totter. And, if you have a balanced teeter-totter, the support's going to be in the middle. And that's what this red triangle represents of this posture. And when we're in this, there's only 125 pounds of compression going through the spinal column. And then on the back side over here, you have the interspinalis muscles. So when you are really having your head over your hips with this S-shaped spine, your interspinalis muscles are efforting at 25 pounds per second. Now over here, almost everyone at the conference their head was positioned a total of 3.5 inches forward. And that could be a combination of your hips, like in Igor, you know, his hips were a little bit tilted forward and then his head was more straight. So all total, this represents 3.5 inches forward posture. And, you know, you look at everybody looking down at their phone, you know, I'd say about 80% of people have this, where it's 3.5 inches forward posture. So their low back muscles are tight, holding their head up. You know, they're going to have different muscle imbalances in their shoulder up to their neck. But look at the difference. Instead of 125 pounds of compression, it's 300. And look what it's doing to the disc. That disc is going into degeneration. And then instead of 25 pounds per second on the interspinalis, it goes to 200 pounds. So you can see right there that the typical dancer posture is causing this person to degenerate, and they're spending too much energy just holding their body up. And then hamstrings. How many dancers have tight hamstrings? Here is a comparison, again, of the upper body with good posture. So in that hip bone, how many people in older age are getting hip replacements, or how many dancers have hip pain? In good posture, it's 50 pounds of shear with 87 pounds of compression with a completely loose hamstring. That's standing erect in good posture without movement. So anyone that has a tight hamstring when they're not moving does not have good posture, and they're in degeneration, premature aging. Now look at this. This is an example of 4 inches. You go from 50 pound shear to 146 pound, but how about all those dancer toes? I saw so many women with Band-Aids on their toes with toe problems. The compression goes down to 924 pounds. That's in the joints. You know, obviously the weight of your body's there, but extra pressure on the joints. It's huge. And then that includes your knee as well. And then your hamstring is working at 843 pounds per second. Talk about fatigue. Why are we fatigued? We got to quit spending energy on things that are unnecessary, because if we get the ideal posture, we can save all this energy for movement. Then you got to understand shear. You know, and I talked about the facet bones. When you're moving and you have normally that good low back curve, when you move forward, your bones line up, facet bones interlocking, and it's impossible to dislocate the low back joints, you know, for herniated disc. How many dancers have herniated disc and low back issues? So with bad posture, when your low back curve isn't quite good and your neck curve isn't quite good, then your facet bones, when you go into motion, cannot lock in. So then any force, like if your dancer's holding on to you and putting weight on your upper body, that poundage goes through the spine and you get posterior shear because the facet bones don't lock onto each other, and the postural muscles, the multifidus and the interspinalis, are weak. So your low back vertebrae and disc will herniate because the posterior shear goes in the direction of the blue arrows. Now, neck comparison. You know, you have joint force, you know, that's bone on bone. Then you have compression that affects the disc. Now, in this 17-year study, they compared every single joint in the human spine, and with proper posture, straight posture, and forward head posture, they compared the pounds. So when a dancer is either straight, you know, you've got quite a bit more joint force, but the compression on the discs, you know, you're double the compression on the disc in straight posture. I don't know how many dancers I saw with forward head posture, but if there's moments where they're going into a movement and lifting their dance partner, there's going to be times when you're going to have extra joint force and compression versus the ideal shape of the spine. So I guess that's in the sharing, the education that I wanted. So I'm rewriting and doing medical illustrations for that 17-year study to be able to prove what those numbers are. I hear so many things on the internet where people will say, oh, with forward head posture, you got this X amount of additional stress and strain, and they're quoting numbers that are not validated by any study. These are the correct numbers. And there's definitely a mechanical advantage when you go through of the postures. There's a 15-to-1 mechanical advantage to having the S-shaped spine. So that's what we need to do, is we need to integrate this training for everyone. I can't hear you.
Sorry.
There you go.
So it's so cool, you know. It's like, I'm just thinking about what I need to do. If you're able to send me this kind of recording, I will be able to send it, you know, I think to, you know, it's like people who I think will be very interesting to participate next Friday. Maybe same time. Do you think it's a good time?
Yes, that's fine.
So let's
next Friday is perfect because right after the webinar, I have to drive to Seattle. So yeah, perfect timing.
Sounds good. Okay, so I will be on a competition, but anyway, I try to, you know, participate there, and I also will be able to send all this information to people who will be there. So definitely, I think it will be very important information for Karina, for Natasha, you know, it's like for Nadia Eftedal, for Armin, you know, it's like, so it's guys who is doing biomechanical stuff, you know, it's like with the, when people teaching and what kind of issues they have with the back, then it starts to be affect, you know, it's like it's toes, knee, you know, it's like and all other joints.
Yes, you just don't look at the toes by itself.
Yes, exactly.
So we can really improve problems that people are having. And then don't forget the hair analysis.
Yes,
you know, we cut some hair, we need to send that in, but we can deal with this structurally, but biologically, and get, you know, you guys your weight, you know, but for now, grass-fed meats and no seed oils and a lot of tips.
Sounds great. So, Eileen, what I will do, you know, so I will talk today about all this stuff with the guys, and I think we'll prepare. Roman, are you interested to have your gen test, you know, like, and check your health level? You know, like, yes, you know, it's like, so if you need any help, you know, it's like with that, you can ask me or you can ask Eileen, you know, it's so, because what I plan to do, I plan to send it, you know, it's a piece of the hairs, you know, it's like for Eileen and making some kind of genetic analysis, you know, it's like, and we try to just a little bit more concentrate on a healthy community and, you know, it's like people who is just interesting to just, you know, it's like find the best form of themselves, you know.